This is the Sewing Circle podcast presented by Hanky Code. I'm Rebecca Vanderkoy, here to introduce to you up-and-coming queer artists and the powerful stories behind their work. Today, I am so excited to have the immensely talented queer pop artist Carolyn Kingsbury joining me. She's fresh off touring with Molly Grace. Hi! Thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So you're fresh off touring with Molly Grace on the West Coast, and you're also gearing up for your tour with Pom Pom Squad. So you got lots of exciting things upcoming.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
And you've been sharing your music on Spotify since 2016, I believe. So I'm curious, how long have you been writing and making music?
Yeah, well, I'm 29 years old and I have been writing music since I was around 12. So however many years that is, it's a long time. But as
Wow.
far as as far as this like current project and like the sound and everything that I'm doing now, it's been about 8 years.
That makes sense. Because you've been releasing music publicly for almost a decade now. I'm curious, how has your music style and your writing style, like how have those things shifted over time?
Oh man, they've shifted a lot. I think that when I came out as queer, I think my style of music really kind of followed suit in terms of like going from sort of a like scared kind of insular place to like really out in the open, bold, and like the sounds that I choose for my songs are like I would say very like bombastic and 80s and yeah, that hasn't always been the case. And so I think it was really just, my coming out and my queerness and moving to LA too and being able to like be in a music community where people are queer and out. That was probably, yeah, that's probably the like way it all kind of began.
No, that absolutely makes a lot of sense. So, kind of speaking to the queerness and queer themes in your music, what does queerness in your work mean to you?
I mean, it means everything to me because it is me.
Yeah,
I think that people who aren't queer don't understand that like queerness isn't just sexual. It's really like your personhood and the way that you express yourself. And I think a good way to like explain it is like the difference between like gender and sex and also queerness and like the way you express yourself can take on so many different forms. And I think that's like the beauty of being queer and doing music is that it is me. So I'm always going to be creating queer music, and that can change, like the form and the sound and stuff around that can change, but like the very fact that I'm a queer person, um it's queer music.
yeah, no, absolutely. And I also think it's such a good point, just kind of speaking to like, so often if someone isn't queer, there is sort of this idea that like, oh, well, like being gay or being lesbian or whatever is just only like your sexual preference. But like, I totally
Right.
agree with the fact that like it encompasses so much more than that in like the best ways, but it is so much more than
Yeah,
just that.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's your expression. It's who you're friends with. It's the way you dress. It's I don't know. It's like especially nowadays. I mean, it hasn't always been like this because I came out I came out in like 2017, but I wasn't I wasn't out at all before that, and I came out as bi in 2017. And like it took me a really long time to understand that like queerness is a a lifestyle, but not in the way that like conservatives say it in like a bad way. But it's like it is your sexuality, but it's also like it's like everything about you. And I don't know. I feel like certain queer people will don't like that, and they're like, well, my queerness doesn't define me, but it's like it kind of does,
Yeah.
especially in a world and in a country where our very existence and like our right to love and exist is constantly questioned, it's like kind of hard to take that stance of like, oh, queerness isn't, you know,
Yeah.
who I am.
No, I'm completely with you on that. And I just think it does
Yeah.
also like touch everything. Like, and I think it's fantastic. And, it's like built so much a community for me and so many things since coming out a long time ago now. Um, but like, yeah, it is definitely like, especially now, I think it touches everything. And even if someone that maybe doesn't necessarily want it to, it's kind of hard to separate yourself from your queerness when that is like who you are as a person.
Right. Especially, when the country is trying to erase queer and trans people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, speaking of all these different tours and different exciting things you have going on, I'm wondering, where do you draw inspiration for your work?
Yeah. Definitely from playing live. I mean, everything I do is so that I can get on tour and go play shows.
Hmm.
I love recording, I love writing, but playing shows and being able to be in a physical space with people sharing music is the best. That's the whole reason I do what I do. And so I think when I go into writing a song or recording a song, I'm always thinking about how it'll be perceived or experienced live. And that informs everything for me.
Yeah. So, are there any particular songs that you really especially have been enjoying performing live?
Oh yeah. I mean, my song Kissing Someone Else definitely like especially since people now know the words and can sing them back to me. It's always been my favorite song to perform even before people knew the words.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been performing that song since 2019. Like I have videos of me playing that song on like my very first tour. And I had written that song like right before that very first tour in 2019, and now it's
Yeah.
2025. And so, I've been performing that one for a long time. Still my favorite to this day. I love performing I Really Don't Care. That's like one of my new songs off my new EP. I also love performing the song 16, which I wrote like with like a queer 80s prom in mind. And like every time I play it live, I feel like I'm experiencing that, sentiment and feeling that I wrote into the song. Um, yeah, I would say those are probably my top three, but it also changes, it
Yeah,
depends
of
on
course.
really the crowd too. And I think also I'll add one more in there. The song Our House from my last EP has been really, really fun to perform. Um, it's kind of like a protest song now. And
Yeah.
there's a line in it that the line, or like the chorus tag is our house, just you and me. They say we're crazy, but baby, we're free. And I wrote that up 1,000% about being queer and queer community. And now it just feels so existential to perform, but it
Yeah.
makes me really happy to be able to share that, with people.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you love touring. What would you say you enjoy most about it? Is there like one thing that really you're especially a fan of?
It's so funny because most people who tour hate touring because it's can be very hard.
Yeah,
And
I'm
it's a
sure.
lot of like sleepless nights, waking up super early, tons of driving, especially at the level that I'm at, which is like I'm involved in every aspect of the tour and planning it and
Right.
executing it. But I love that tour will surprise you and you won't expect to have a great experience somewhere because you're just kind of doing your thing, and then all of a sudden you're in Salt Lake City, Utah, and then you have like the best show of your life, and then you're like, what the
Yeah.
hell, like that was amazing, and I'm in a completely different place than I live, and I get to experience such an amazing thing. And yeah, I think it's really just the surprise of the unexpected. Anything can happen, good or
Yeah.
bad.
No, that totally makes sense. And I think also just kind of going back to like queer community as a whole and kind of where things are at in this country right now. Like live music and like queer live music in that space for community and finding like-minded people has always been so, so important. But I think especially now, like going to little places, like random places that maybe not the biggest city, but like I think it's so important to just kind of foster that
Oh
community, which you're
yeah,
definitely doing.
absolutely.
So,
Oh, I'm really excited because I'm playing. I'm going on this tour with Pom Pom Squad, and we're playing in Orlando, Florida, which is like an hour away from my hometown.
oh
And
wow.
I haven't performed in Florida since I was in high school, and so this will be like the first time I'm performing in Florida as an out queer person, and it's
Wow.
it's pretty crazy. Like I have like
Yeah.
my old babysitter coming to watch me, my uncles and my aunts and cousins, and it's cool. And also Mia, the lead singer of Pom Pom, is also from Orlando, and so it's both of our first time performing since we came out
Wow.
in Florida.
That is
So
really
it's really
cool.
cool. I know, it's super cool.
So, kind of still thinking about tour a little bit. I really love your stage style. How did you
Thank you.
settle on like the vibes, both like aesthetically and like everything that you wanted to bring to each show?
Well, I think starting, I always start, with the 80s as my inspiration because it's just my favorite style period, like late
Yeah.
70s and into the 80s. Because late 70s had some really great, like glam rock moments that I love to try to incorporate too. But really, I kind of just bring a suitcase full of clothes with me if I'm on tour or if I'm playing a show, and then I kind of just make it up as I go along. So it's sort of like playing with like costumes, and like I just have a huge suitcase full of random stuff, and then I kind of put it together as I feel. Um,
Yeah.
but I definitely keep returning to like the boot mini skirt with like some kind of shirt or like a tie or a blazer. Like that's kind of been like my go-to because it's just like what I feel most comfortable performing in, and I know that nothing's gonna fly off or
Yeah.
burst open. So
So it's always
it's
important.
yeah, it's always sort of like playing dress up. Honestly, like I kind of just throw some shit on, and there we go, ready to play.
That's so fun. So you mentioned, 70s, 80s, and kind of that style influence.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, what artists do you draw inspiration from? Is it artists from those time periods or is it other artists as well?
Yeah, I think it's sort of a mix of like modern and like late 70s, early 80s references. Like I didn't initially like start out being really in love with the 80s. It was like I had to kind of work my way backwards.
Hmm.
I didn't really like listen to a ton of like non-Christian music when I was growing up, and wasn't really allowed to. And so like a lot of my music discovery happened in my like late teens into my 20s, and that's sort of when
Yeah.
I worked my way backwards from like artists like the Killers, and like then kind of worked my way backwards and found like Bruce Springsteen. I was like, oh my God. And then kind of working my way backwards from there, and like going into Bowie and going into Cindy and Madonna. And I love all of them, but I
Yeah.
feel like it's hard to say that I just take inspiration from them because I kind of just, I really just kind of do what I want, and I love the
Yeah.
80s, and everything that I do will always be somewhat influenced by the 80s. And so in terms of like the bold makeup, the weirdo hair, like weirdo pop girl vibes are like always gonna be taking inspiration from, like, I'm really inspired by all of the like weirdo pop girls that have come before me. And
Yeah.
I mean, Cindy, I feel like was one of the original ones. Like Cindy Lauper, she was like 30 years old when she had her first big hit, and I just like that to me is so fucking badass. Like it's like
That is
for me,
very true.
Caroline Polachek is a huge inspiration for me. I love Kate Bush. I love Lana. I love Lady Gaga. I loved Katy Perry. Uh, yeah, I mean, it's just like all the like weirdo pop girls really have made me like understand who I am, and
Absolutely.
when when the world
No, that
wasn't necessarily like, this is who you are, they were kind of the ones showing me.
yeah. No, those are all like such excellent influences. And I'm also very similar in that like I grew up listening to almost exclusively Christian music. And I think there is something to be said for kind of a little bit later in life having the world of music opened up to you. I don't know. For me personally, it just like as soon as I started to kind of get to explore, it was just like this whole new world opened up. I don't know if you had that experience as well, but
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like also through the lens of queerness too, and being able to look back at people who weren't openly queer, but like were
yeah,
doing some of the most outrageous, cool shit, like Freddie and Bowie. And I mean, so many, so many people, even people who aren't necessarily queer, but kind of like tapping into like that bold, weirdo, colorful energy.
yeah, no, absolutely. And I definitely, in my case, it was like, okay, suddenly I'm seeing all of these people who are just so boldly themselves, whether they're openly queer or not. And I'm like, oh, wow,
Yeah,
like this is so cool. This is so different than like the music I grew up with.
right. Totally. I mean, it's just this like kind of full acceptance of your humanity where, I grew
Yeah,
up in a very like extreme religious environment, not because of my family necessarily, but just because of like the church that I went to. And
right.
so that kind of expression was always looked at as like a sexual thing when it's
Hmm.
really not just a sexual thing. It's just about, expressing your full humanity, good or bad or anything in between. And Christianity doesn't like anything that doesn't fit in the like black and white. And
Yeah,
that's sort of what queerness is that it's just kind of the spectrum of all the colors. And yeah, and that's why
absolutely.
I love it so much.
No, absolutely. And I think it is also just kind of like why such openly queer music like yours is so important because like people can finally have themselves like feel really seen. Whether someone is in a tiny town where
Aw.
maybe they don't know any other queer people, like, okay, you can turn on a song and suddenly you're like, wow, like there are other people like me out there, even if I'm not actively seeing them.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wish that I had had that when I was a kid,
Me too.
honestly.
Yeah.
I really wish. So I try to do that now for the younger versions of me that are still living inside of me. I do what I do for them, for myself and also for, you know, the kids who live in the middle of nowhere in the South or something and don't have access to a queer community or feel safe even
Yeah,
being themselves. Like they know they can turn my shit on and feel that way or come to a concert of mine and feel that way. So that makes me
absolutely.
feel somewhat useful
No, I think
in
there's
this
something really
insanity.
important about it. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I agree.
So, switching gears slightly, um, you released your debut album, Heaven's Just a Flight in 2021, but you also
Yeah.
released an EP in 2024, and you've released a lot of
Uh-huh.
other projects. So I'm curious, like, do you have any specific project that especially really stands out to you right now?
Yeah, I mean, my album is something that I take a lot of pride in. It's a 16-song album. It's ginormous, and
Hmm.
I released it during COVID. And my brother had also just passed away, like when I was writing it, and it was so many things happening. So I'm really proud
Yeah,
of that piece of work. Like, I think that it was a crazy time to be doing music, and I'm just really proud of myself for putting that out.
yeah,
But my EP that I just put out in the fall, I'm feeling really really excited to kind of see how those songs grow, because when I wrote those in the studio, I was just imagining them at like big festivals and tours. And this year I'm playing some festivals that haven't announced yet, and I'm doing some tours and stuff. And I just can't wait to see how the songs grow, because I mean,
yeah,
everyone knows this now, that like just because you release a song and it didn't come out yesterday doesn't mean it doesn't have its legs still. I mean, Chapel released a majority of her songs like multiple years ago.
yeah.
Lola Young is having a hit song that she wrote like multiple years ago. And so I don't know. I'm just excited to see how they grow. And I'm also releasing another EP this year.
Mhm.
And so I have more songs coming. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I'm just excited. I'm excited to see how they like, transform also like the more I play them live too. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And also, that's really exciting about the EP. I'm not sure, are you able to like share anything about what that process has been like or anything that people can expect with the new EP?
It's gonna be better than anything I've ever put out.
Amazing.
I know that in terms of the quality of production and the songwriting, it's going to be better than anything I've put out. And it's going to be extremely fun to see how people react.
Awesome.
I'm excited. I'm very excited. I just got out of the studio a couple weeks ago. I was in the studio for like a week straight, and I'm working with this artist, Wild Nothing. His name's Jack Tatum, but his band is called Wild Nothing. And I had listened to his music for so long, like literally 10 years,
Oh, wow.
and just hit him up randomly and was like, do you want to produce my EP? And he was like, yeah. And so we got together and I got to work with like a musical hero of mine. And his
That's so
production
cool.
style is so 80s and on point. It's going to just be really special. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, that is so exciting. Can't wait. Cannot wait to hear that. Um, I do have one other question for you as far as touring's going, since I'm sure that is kind of on your mind with
Yeah.
the recent tour and then you have an upcoming tour. Do you have any particular shows that you've played that have like really stood out in your mind?
Oh yeah. I mean, last year I did two headlining shows in LA and New York and they both got sold out, and that was insane to me because I've played in LA and New York so many times to
Yeah.
like no one, and so the fact that those two shows were sold out, the energy was insane. The like people knowing the words was insane. It was just one of the most, I think the New York show was like had a different energy than the LA show because we played the day after the election. So everyone I think was just kind of like, what the fuck? Um,
Yeah.
the energies were so different, but like the LA show is like kind of before all that, and there was just so much good energy. And I had friends and family and the parents of the kid that I've nannied were there, and
Uh-huh.
it made me feel so special and loved to just have like everyone that I care about come out to those shows. And my best friend
Yeah.
was there, and like people who didn't even live in the US came in, and
Oh,
like,
wow.
yeah, I mean, it was really special, and it was like one of the first times I had heard my song sung back to me so loud, like ever in my life.
That
It
is
was
so
crazy.
cool. And I
Yeah,
feel like
it was
also just
insane.
like such a testament to many years of just like putting in the work too, to finally be able to really see some of that hard work realized like
It
in
was
front of you.
very, very gratifying. It
I'm
was
sure it
very
was. Yeah.
gratifying for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So kind of speaking of, putting in work throughout the years, what advice would you give to kind of a younger version of yourself? Whether it be music or
Mm.
otherwise, but yeah.
I would say, I would say to my younger self, I would say I'm going to do two sides, professionally and personally.
Mhm.
Professionally, I would say trust the process. Don't think about the time it takes. Don't think about how old you are. Don't
Mhm.
think about anything except for just making the music, putting out the music, playing the music, um, and doing
Yeah.
what you can to, grow and like promotion and shit like that. Like, don't think about how old you are. Don't think about, I want to be at this stage by 30, which I think a lot of people in their 20s do because we put
Yeah.
this like huge emphasis on like having our shit together by 30, but things are not so like black and white and neat and simple like that. I didn't expect my brother to pass away when I was 24. I didn't expect COVID to happen when I was 24. I didn't expect
Yeah.
so many things, to happen. And then I didn't expect this year for my music that was like 3 or 4 years old to start blowing up. Like, so it's like you really just cannot put a time on like career success or even like what is career success. For me it was like getting to the point where I didn't have to work another job, which I'm I'm at right now. I don't know how long it'll last, but I'm there right now, and it feels
Amazing.
so amazing now because I can really appreciate it. I mean, I've worked as a waitress, a nanny, I worked at Trader Joe's. I've done like 10 jobs over the last 10 years of my life. Like I've done everything. And I'm really proud of that because there's a lot of artists who are super young who make it and then are like, burnt out by the age of 25, and I'm 29
Right.
and I'm just getting started, and it feels really good. And like I feel like I have such a leg up because I have so much experience. And I talk to younger
Absolutely.
artists sometimes and I'm like, wow, I'm just glad to not be young. I'm just glad not to be, at least because this industry is so fucked up. Like the
Yeah.
music industry is so hard. It requires so much determination to push through some of the craziest shit that you've ever heard of. Like insane.
Yeah.
So that's like on a professional level. On a personal level, I would say don't move in with any of your partners.
That is some really solid advice. I
Don't.
like co-sign on
Not
that.
until you're old, until you are old enough to really, really, really know who this person is. Because once you move in, it's really hard to move out.
Yeah. That's some
you know,
solid advice right there.
honestly, it's yeah. I'm just such a lover girl, and so I've been in a lot of relationships in my 20s and had a lot of drama and heartbreak. And it's like I look back and I wish that I could have just prioritized myself more instead of
Yeah.
worrying about being, in a relationship or being in love. Because I think this is what we're taught from a young age, is that love is something that will never come around ever again. And it's just
Yeah.
not true. I think that there's hundreds and millions of soulmates out there for you. And it's just, where you are in your life and who you're with, and things happen,
Absolutely.
and so I think that's the advice I'd give my younger self, is to just chill the fuck out.
Honestly, that's some really solid advice. Like yeah,
Yeah.
it's really good.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to hear though. And I think if I had heard that at a younger age, I would have been like, fuck off, but
Oh yeah.
it's
No,
just
there
like there's
definitely
no
is.
rush. I think there's no rush with like your relationships in your 20s. Like really truly there's no rush. Like you guys can just date and you don't have to move in together, and.
It's
But at the
really
same
okay.
time, if that makes you happy, then do it. So like I don't
Yeah.
want to shit on anybody's dreams, cuz
Yeah.
like everyone has their own life and their own path.
Absolutely.
But I don't know. I think it's like also funny cuz in our 20s we just think that like your 20s you have to get to a place of whatever in your 20s, and I just think that like the way the world is now, everything is so fucked up and like insane. It's like just
Yeah.
focus on being happy and doing what you love and like survive, like
No, I've kind of
everything else. Yeah,
yeah.
everything else
No,
will
I've
come.
definitely reached that conclusion too, honestly, because like whether it's like career stuff or relationship stuff, I think there is so much of like a societal pressure to like you need to be in a relationship by X age, or you need to be doing this type of
Oh
job, or like
right.
this point in your
Yeah.
career. And like, I don't know, I just think that like that can just take the joy out of a lot of things too. Like instead of focusing on like living, you're focusing on like, oh my gosh, I need to get to this benchmark or this thing
Yes.
that like I have decided means that I've succeeded, which is like,
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
100%. I just hope that the generations that are coming up right now really just let go of this idea of like you need to be successful by a certain age. Like I was
yeah.
18 years old and thinking I needed to make it by the time I was 21.
Oh
And
my
like
goodness. Yeah.
that is what I thought. Genuinely what I thought. And if I didn't get there, then I was a failure. And I literally felt like a failure at 21 years old. And it's
Yeah.
just so much unnecessary pain and sorrow
Yeah. So much,
and
so much.
you
Because
have
you've done
so
so
much
much
time,
since
and time is a
then. Yeah.
gift.
There's so much time.
Life is short, but it's also long. That's what I say, is that life,
Yeah.
yes, is short. So like, if you care about someone, you don't want to like not tell them or something. It's just that
Right.
you don't need to like center other people to like have a fulfilling life. You can center yourself and like take your time and everything will be fine. Whether you start dating somebody when you're in your 20s or in your 30s, or if you've never had sex with someone, or if you've never done whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, just be happy and live your life.
I agree.
No one else can tell you what that looks like.
Yeah. And the comparison and like looking at what other people are doing and then being like, oh, that's where I need to be. I have found personally it's so unhelpful. It's so like, I just think like, it's so much better to just be like, this is what I'm doing and I'm happy with that. So I'm going to do it.
There's a lot of pressure. I went to a music school in Nashville. And so like we had a very competitive environment. And so I think I was just sort of like brainwashed into thinking that everything needed to happen right now or else it wasn't going to happen. And I wish I had just like allowed myself to be in the moment more, you know. I don't have any regrets though, because honestly, like I've learned from everything and I'm like very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for all the lessons I've learned. It's just part of me does wish I could go back and be like, girl, chill the fuck out. You are 21 years old. Like you have so much time. Like even when you're 30, like I feel like I'm about to turn 30 this year and I feel like I'm 21 again. Like I literally am like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm turning 30. Like this is so sick. Like it doesn't feel like my life is over. It feels like it's just beginning. And I think, I don't know.
It's a good place to be.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot of darkness and fear, especially for our community right now happening. And a lot of people feeling like, is it worth it to live? Is it worth it to exist? And it's like, it is. I'm telling you, it is. Because once you get past like being depressed, you really, which I'm not saying you will ever, I mean, I have depression. I just mean in terms of like really, really letting that shit fuck up your life. If you can just get past it and get through it, there literally is a whole nother universe on the other side. And I especially with your queerness, like no matter where you go, if you're queer, you'll always be able to make a friend. That's another thing I love about that. Yeah, it's like no matter where you go, you'll always be able to find a community because of who you are, who love you exactly for who you are. And yeah, I could go all day. I could go all day on advice, honey. Oh, you got to stop me.
No, I am so with you on all of this though.
I'm like, you got to stop me because I will go on.
No, this is fantastic advice. Oh my goodness.
I'll do a video on Instagram one day and be like, these are the 5 things. If you are in your 20s, stop this.
Just you need to know this.
Please. Stop it.
Like just don't care so much and
Stop
you have time
so
and you're going to be fine.
Your tits will never look this good, okay? I'm telling you. Enjoy it.
So true.
So true.
There we go. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I mean, anything for the queer community, always.